Some of the crazy names that I was reading about, yeah, this is ridiculous, seriously. Get ready for some ridicule here, okay? So apart from Pikachu, okay, we have Akuma, which is devil.
Right, okay.
Wait for this one. We have Nike for Nike.
Oh, God.
And
no.
Pooh for Winnie the Pooh. Hi, I'm Nathan.
Hi, guys, I'm Alan.
And we are the J-Cast.
We're so bad at it. We're
Getting
so bad
there.
at it.
Awesome.
Right, okay.
For those of you who are new to the J-Cast, we're a Japan podcast. We talk about all things Japan related, travel, current affairs, anything to keep you in the loop, especially interesting stories with our own insights. And I'm going to introduce you to my host, Alan. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, yeah, my name's Alan. You may know me, or you may not know me, as Japan Ichiban. I run a relatively successful Facebook page. Again, all about Japan, just like Nathan said. It's there for Japan inspiration for you, places to go, places to see, things that I've recorded whilst in Japan. And that's who I am. Yeah, I do Facebook, Instagram, Threads, everything else. But yeah, I'm here on a podcast with Nathan. So Nathan, why don't you tell us about yourself as well? Come on, who are you, Nathan? Who are you?
Hey, I'm Nathan, Ninja Monkey or Happy Gaijin. I actually have two channels. Happy Gaijin is like my secondary channel where I do a little bit more experimental vloggy live streams when I'm in the streets of Japan, and Ninja Monkey is more like my main channel where I sort of like do more curated, more higher quality content. So that's basically what I do. Thanks for watching this podcast, this little adventure that I'm going on with Alan. And the very first story, and I'm wondering if Alan has ever heard of this. Do you know what a Kira name is?
Kira name? No, sorry, I don't know what that is. What is a Kira name, Nathan?
Kira name. Okay, I hope I'm saying it right. A Kira name. Basically, they are, well, I wouldn't say there's a problem. We have many of them. Well, I think the West has got to a point where this has become a little bit of the norm. I'm not gonna lie. It's basically names that are unusual or names that are not necessarily traditional or names that don't abide.
Oh, okay.
Like, for example, I was reading a little article about how the government of Japan is cracking down on these so-called kira names. These kira apparently it means shiny or glittery. That's what kira means, and it refers to overly creative or bizarre baby names using unusual kanji readings. For example, would you name your child Pikachu? I don't know about you, but I might name my child Pikachu.
I mean, probably Snorlax, in all fairness, or some of those lines. But no, I don't think I would name my child Pikachu. But you're right, this is a problem in the West, though, isn't it? Where me and you live, there are a lot of strange names popping up.
But some of the crazy names that I was reading about, yeah, this is ridiculous, seriously. Get ready for some ridicule here, okay? So apart from Pikachu, okay, we have Akuma, which is devil.
Right, okay.
Wait for this one. We have Nike for Nike.
Oh, God.
And
no.
Pooh for Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, no, that's terrible. I mean, as a parent, you've got to think about the impact this is going to have on your children later on in life. I mean, that's just obscene. I don't really blame the government for cracking down on names like that, in all fairness.
Do you think I wouldn't say there's a problem, but there is an issue here in the West where we get some interesting names, like even now recently, like Elon Musk had a name and it couldn't even be pronounced, so it was like a strange thing going on.
Yeah, it was Elon Musk's child was like named after the SR's Blackbird, whichever one it was, the experimental aircraft that spawned the Blackbird, Archangel 12. Well, this is generally a problem, isn't it? Traditional names go out over time, but then that's like a gradual change from one thing to another. Whereas now people are just choosing things completely left field, and then that generally makes no sense. So I think as a parent, you have an obligation to ensure your child doesn't have a crazy name. That's quite fair. You don't want your child to be ridiculed or picked on in school, which can obviously quite easily happen. So Yeah, if the parents aren't doing that, I mean, there should be a moral obligation from the parents to sort that out. The parents aren't doing that.
But do you think the government should get involved and actually stop names? Because this is the fine line, I guess, in a way. Because in Japan, this is what the government is sort of doing. Because the new rules basically mean that they have to provide phonetic readings for the child's name, and that they have to be on the original, officially recognized kanji readings that will be allowed. And authorities can actually reject names. So that's sort of like the controversial side of this new rule, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult. That's more like a moral question, isn't it, than anything else? Do you think, who decides what a approved name is? Someone may say Nathan isn't an approved name. Oh my God, what? That's such a crazy name. You're not allowed it. So I don't agree with the government stepping in, but we shouldn't get to the point where that's needed. That's the problem, isn't it? We shouldn't get all the way down to that point. So I probably do agree, for the sake of the kids, that they aren't going to end up with a stupid name like Princess Snorlax Pikachu or something else. So yes, I'm going to say I do agree for the sake of the children. There you go. That's my hot take. What do you think?
So I'm just reading here. Well, I think that if a parent decides to name their child something strange or different or whatever, well, at the end of the day, we're kind of lucky that we can change our names if we wanted to in the future. I mean, there's plenty of people that I know that were born with one name in their birth certificate but go by a completely different name because they don't like their name. Do you have that? Do you know people like that? Like, it's kind of common. And then you find out their real name and you're like, what? Seriously? That's your name? I didn't know that.
I didn't know to call you that, yeah, type of thing. Yeah, my one of my aunties changed her name as well, so it's quite a common thing. But that's the adult making a sensible decision in their mind. So whereas you shouldn't burden a child with something like that straight away. That's not the right thing to do.
So I'm reading here some interesting examples. So when I'm looking down, it's because I'm reading something. And there's an example here of Seiko Hashimoto, which named her child after Olympic host cities Giricia, so Greece, and Torino, Turin. And it says here that she chose the kanji very carefully, but some people might struggle to interpret or pronounce them. So I think it's difficult when the spelling, even in English, when you read someone's name and you don't know how to pronounce it. Examples might be like.
Well, how about, I know a good name for that, Nathan. A good name which is like an Irish name. It's Siobhan, if you know Siobhan. So that is spelled Siobhan. So Siobhan, but that's pronounced Siobhan. So that's a really good example of that. And Japan has a problem with kanji and different readings and things as well. So that's an additional step of complexity for like Japanese naming, isn't it? So but you can't call your child Pikachu. Either way, you can't do that. That's definitely not on. That's not fair.
It'll be like, Pikachu, I choose you.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you had that name as a child going through school? It'd be so bad.
The register, it would be like down the register, you'll have like Alan, Nathan, Pikachu, Totoro.
Exactly. I mean, that's not really fair, is it? But I mean, there's different. I mean, isn't Robin Williams' daughter called Zelda or something? And I quite like that as a name, Zelda. I mean, he was a big Nintendo fan, so obviously that comes back to the Japanese side of conversations. And she's kept that name her entire life, so it's quite touching, really. It's quite beautiful. But Zelda,
I think Zelda might be the name of a Greek god or something like that. Maybe, I'm not very sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I was reading another article. I don't have the information on me, but some university in Japan has done some crazy study, and they've said that by the year 2300 or whatever, everybody in Japan will have the same surname.
Yeah, it's like Matsumoto or something, isn't it? I've seen that.
I can't remember what it was, but it was a little bit strange, really.
Yeah, going off my language on it. But yeah, just go back to that Greek. Just quickly though, on that Greek god thing. I'm sure Nike is a Greek god or something as well. So, it's like, so that comes back to the who decides which names are okay or not. That's the problem. So yeah, but yeah, go on. Sorry, next question. No problem. Good opener, Nathan. Great opening question.
I was gonna say that I've been reading another article recently about how Japan's Gen Z is redefining work culture by embracing quiet quitting.
And nothing else. Is that what we mean by quiet quitting? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, kind of. So I'm just going to read here a little bit. What this? I mean, it's a big change in Japanese culture, like work culture. If this becomes a big thing, this could actually change the whole country moving forward 10 years, 15 years. So it says here that basically Japan's Gen Z is redefining work culture by embracing quiet quitting, not out of laziness, but as a cautious rejection to overwork culture their parents endured. Instead of striving for promotions or working overtime, many young Japanese prefer to clock in and out on time, valuing personal time, hobbies, and mental health over corporate loyalty. And experts are actually suggesting this shift is driven by declining job security, the legacy of the pandemic, and the desire to avoid the burnout and even links to overwork and what happens as a result of overwork in Japan. So overall, it seems to be a healthy evolution towards a better work-life balance. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think a healthy work-life balance is incredibly important. It's one of the things I absolutely cherish about my job. I have a really good, besides pretending to be a content creator on my day-to-day, I have a really good job, and I absolutely adore my job. And from that, I get a fantastic work-life balance because I work from home and things like that. And it definitely helps with mental health. It helps with burnout. I mean, it does cause some other issues as well. You can be quite lonely, working away from people all the time. There are other problems that arise from, basically doing that. But a good work-life balance is fantastic, and it's really important. So I absolutely applaud that. I think it's the right thing to do. You can just work yourself to death, and you do your job. In my mind, I do my job so I can live, not live to do my job.
I mean, I do my job so that I can travel to Japan.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, Nathan. That's where all the money goes.
But a 2025 study actually found that 25% of workers in their 20s admitted to quiet quitting in Japan, which is very interesting. Actually surprised me, to be
I think
honest.
that's high. That's quite high, I would have thought, for Japan.
Yeah, 45%. Yeah, very, very high. So and yeah, it's just how will it change culture in the future? Because all of these white collar job salary men, basically in Tokyo, you cannot have at the moment the way things are set up really a work life balance if you're a salary man in Japan. You're sort of like a little bit of a slave to the company, a Japanese company anyway, right?
Yeah, well, I quite often hear that your presence at work is more valued than the actual quantity and quality of the work that you do. As long as the office sees that you're always there, you may not even be performing very well, but at least you're present all the time. Therefore, you're seen as a good worker. Whereas where I'm from, here in the UK, it's completely different. I want good quality work out of you, and I want you to ensure I've given you a task, ensure that it's done to the best of your ability. It doesn't matter if it takes you a week to do it, as long as it's done properly, because that's what we need it for. So for me, you might even find if people start doing just the 9 to 5 or whatever the hours are, that the quality of work may improve because they're not out all night. So I don't think it's a bad thing. And the rest, a lot of the Western world still has moved in that direction, I would say, in the last 5 to 10 years, definitely, especially in Europe.
Yeah, well, you're right. But the funny thing, Alan, is that Japanese society might see this, like these Gen Z as lazy as a result of doing this. But the reality is that they might actually be more productive. Like, as you said, the reality is that if you work from 9 to 5 and you are focused on doing your work between those times, you might be able to finish your work and more efficiently and probably at a higher quality. There's a lot of talk and a lot of reading that I've done in the past and videos on YouTube, etc., about how work culture in Japan can actually, you can sometimes see people sleeping as a result of dozing off, and that's seen these are YouTube videos I'm talking about, but it's sometimes seen as, oh, that worker has worked so hard, look how tired he is. So they reward tiredness. It's kind of you're a good worker if you have a few if you're caught snoozing here and there, you're seen as a good worker sometimes, because it's seen as a reflection of your hard work. When in reality, maybe all you need is to just get all your work done in the time that's given, and then go home to sleep, right?
Well, exactly, yeah. And if you do the standard hours every day, whatever that is, you then have time for hobbies, for some personal growth, for all the day-to-day stuff that happens, shopping, laundry, etc., and some time for family and friends. Is this the reason Japan has such a birth rate problem? Is it one? It must be one of the contributing factors towards it, that people are just at work all the time and they don't have time to meet anybody else. Outside of the desk, in the office, somebody else there. Where can they meet other people? So, I think it's nothing but positive in my mind. That it's absolutely fantastic. So, well done, Japan. We don't always sing Japan's prayers. We don't praise them that often, do we? In all fairness, so.
I think we praise them a lot. Actually, we praise them a lot. Actually,
Do you think so? Well, I think we talk about a lot of the bad stuff, though.
yeah. I mean, everything's great in Japan. Do we? I don't think so. I don't know. I think we are quite balanced. We talk about great stuff also.
I think the balance is there. Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I think that when it comes to a podcast like this, people want to hear the things that are a little bit out there, a little bit, are opinionated, things. And one of the things that I was reading about, and I actually covered in my last update, was this whole insect problem in Osaka's great wooden ring in Osaka in the Expo. Had you heard about that?
Basically, they built a huge wooden structure, haven't they, for their it's the most recent Expo.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, that's the thing that I'm the most excited about. I am most likely not going to go to the Expo. I pretty much decided I'm not really interested in it. But I hope that they keep that giant circle, wooden structure, which is the world's biggest wooden structure, in place for the future, because that would make for a very cool tourist thing, tourist
Attraction. Yeah, well, they still have the figure in Osaka from the last Expo, didn't they? In the 60s, if you remember, that like white figure with like a big dish type face thing. That's still there. So I know they tend to keep some of the larger things.
I mean, the plan is at the moment. The plan, from what I've read, the plan is for that structure to be dismantled after the Olympics, and for it to be shipped to different parts, to be shipped to different areas. But to be honest, I think it would be much better if they just keep it as one thing, to attract tourists out of the city to do to see something different. But the problem has been that there's been a swarm, and that is the right word, a crazy swarm of these little insects that have basically made the what did they call it? It had a special name. The circle. I keep on saying the circle. It's not a circle. What was it called? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember its name. Sorry, it was the one that looks like it goes into the clouds, wasn't it? It was that thing, but I can't remember what it was called.
But these insects have made that their home, basically, and it's millions and millions of these insects, which are thankfully don't bite, but they're so tiny that they get in people's food, they get in people's eyes. People are breathing them in, and obviously, I'm reading news articles, and news articles do tend to exaggerate things and make things a little bit more sensational than what they actually are. But people apparently are having asthma attacks and allergic reactions to these tiny little bugs, and the problem has been that that they say that they're not going to be able to get rid of them until October, but the Expo ends around October, so it's pretty much going to be an issue for the Expo, throughout the whole of the Expo.
For the entire time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's called the Grand Ring, that place. That's what it's called. That's what it's called.
That's it. The ring, not the circle.
The Grand Ring. Yeah.
Excuse me, not the circle. The Grand Ring. The Grand Ring.
Yeah, but you're right then.
It is quite a difference, you know. A circle is like basic English, right?
Yeah, but who decides what the right name for the thing is? But yeah, so I suppose if that is the case, then dismantling it probably is a good idea, isn't it? And everything. We don't want a huge insect paradise built in the middle of Osaka. So I don't actually know whereabouts in Osaka the expo is. You must know, I presume. You know.
The expo is on a man-made island. Like yeah, it's basically on a man-made island. They created a new station and everything for
So
it.
is it near a new island, right? Okay.
No, it's not a new island. It was already there, but they've created a new station, a new subway station, especially for the expo.
Fantastic. It's a good opportunity for like a large city to build some very interesting like infrastructure projects, isn't it? When we have large events like Tokyo with the Olympics, they built all that Olympic Village in Odaiba and stuff, and then sold them on afterwards as apartments. So it's a really good idea for some places to invest with that in mind. You know, with the longer term things in mind. So I wonder what will happen with that part of Osaka in the future. Who knows? Is it a new Den Town? Den Town Part 2?
I think it's not new. They've used it for other things in the past, and I think that that they've had loads of problems with it. Even in the expo, there was some gas explosions as a result of like during the building in the run up to the expo. Even during the expo, I've read of bomb scares. There's been bomb scares in the expo. And stuff like that. And the biggest controversy of all was that the UK pavilion, bad. You know what I'm going to say, no? What I'm going to say?
I think I do, yeah. It was about the food, wasn't it, in the UK pavilion? Didn't?
Yeah, it was the high tea. Basically, it was like tea and scones. You know, the most quintessential like British thing that you can have, tea and scones, and they were serving them in like paper or plastic cups,
Oh no!
and people were paying money. Yeah, and people were paying good money. Exactly.
You need a mug, guys. This is what you need, an actual mug. Come on, you can't go doing that. Yeah.
People were not happy. People were not happy.
Well, I wouldn't be happy either. Absolutely not. I mean,
So they fixed it now. Now they have some proper china, and you can now have your tea and scones or whatever in proper china. You know, proper mugs or whatever.
yeah, as they should. I mean, what's next? Did they serve ramen in a plastic bowl or something? Like, that's just it just wouldn't work, would it? So yeah, I mean, you can't mention quintessential without saying quintessential quintuplets, by the way. But that's a different story.
Quintessential quintuplets.
Yeah, unless you watch anime, of course. My daughters will like that reference. So yeah, I agree. The expo doesn't really attract me either, to be brutally honest. It may attract some people to Japan, but there's so much going on in Japan anyway now. I'm already attracted to go to the country, you know.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah. And I've been reading comments from some of my subscribers on my main channel about the expo. Whenever I mentioned something about the expo, and somebody very recently said, "I went to the expo. I enjoyed it, but I didn't get to see any of the pavilions that I wanted to see."
Oh yeah, it's just because of the lottery system they have. Is that why? Again, they've done a strange lottery.
They've screwed it up. They have totally screwed it up with the lottery system. I mean, I think, to be honest, we also have to think of it this way. We are sort of like criticizing or critiquing the expo from the point of view of a foreigner. But in reality, the expo there is for the Japanese people mainly. You know, it's geared more for the domestic travelers to go and experience the expo. At the end of the day, there's much more domestic tourism, and obviously many Japanese people who potentially could go to the expo compared to the whatever 38 million annual visitors to Japan. So that's who they're going for. The only thing is that when we go as a tourist, we sort of have our expectations are very different. We don't want to waste time. We want to go and see the things that we hope to see. We don't want to do a lottery system, you know. But if you live in Japan, I guess that you could just do a lottery system and keep on trying or whatever until you get the one that you want, and then just get a Shinkansen or whatever to the expo, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I suppose, and as well, just to add to that, it's quite easy to be critical of your own country and think, oh, you know, tea not served in the right cup isn't correct, but some people may still just enjoy the beverage anyway, so it's probably okay. as long as it's like Yorkshire tea or PG tips, of course. But yeah.
I was saying there's also viewers that have really enjoyed the expo. I don't want to like just like trash talk the expo. There are plenty of people that have gone, and I've actually, when I was in Japan last, I was speaking to somebody and they said that they loved the expo, but they managed to see what they wanted to see. But they said that they would return even if they didn't get to see what they wanted to see. And from what I've seen, the visuals and just walking around the pavilions and the area, it looks very cool. It looks very interesting. But the question is, when there's so much around Osaka to see, you know, just get in a train 1 hour this way, 1 hour that way. You know, you've got Himeji Castle, you can go to Hiroshima. You've got so much Kinoseki Onsen, whatever, Kobe.
Kobe, Kyoto, Nara, etc.
Even Nagoya, whatever, like add so much that you can access. The question is, would you go to the expo and spend a day in the expo and potentially not, you know, be in queues for a part of the day and not see what you want to see, or would you go and check out some more of Japan's culture? What would you let us know in the comments? What will you do actually there? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, of course. It'd be interesting to know what other people think besides us. I mean, for me, I go to Japan to see Japan. So to see an expo with, I don't know, something about the UK and something about America, I'm like, well, I know those places, so I want to go to see Japan. That's my idea of it. So yeah, it's you're probably right about who it attracts as well. It's quite
I was really excited about the expo. I'm not going to lie. I was. I had it originally planned, you know, to go to the expo this year, but it was the whole uncertainty of maybe not getting, of having a lottery system and not getting what I wanted to see, that I just decided I'm not gonna, like, in my itinerary have expo day when then I might not see what I want to see in the expo. So I just decided that that's not the way that I run, you know, it's not the way that I think. One last sort of story that I wanted to talk about before we get to some of the questions that I've jotted down here, and that is a story that I picked up on a few weeks ago. I potentially could have been one of the first people who that picked up on this story, and now in the last few days, in the last week, it's sort of like gone crazy. Unfortunately, not in my main channel, but with other channels, and that's a whole you know, like, earthquake on the 5th of July. Crazy prediction by that manga thing. I think we need to talk about it. I spoke about it 4 weeks ago now, probably, in a video that just speaks about that. But what are your thoughts on that, man? I tell you something. What are your thoughts?
So is this the Kanto megaquake that we're talking about, or Sakurajima having the eruption? Which one?
No, I'm talking about the manga artist who has predicted many things, including the death of Freddie Mercury. She predicted the 2011 tsunami and stuff like that in a manga, and apparently in the same manga it mentions an earthquake that's going to be even bigger on the 5th of July, specifically on the 5th of July. That's what I'm talking about. And lots of people are cancelling the trips, especially from Asia.
Well, I suppose they have a shorter trip to Japan anyway, so that's probably, you know, it's a 3-hour flight as opposed to a 15-hour flight like it is for me and you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a very superstitious person, in all fairness. He says covered in mala and things as well. But yeah, I mean, if that person's made 2 correct predictions in the last 30 years, I'm probably not that bothered that they're going to make one more prediction. It probably won't come true. I mean, I'm a man of science, Nathan, so I don't think you can predict those things.
I'm a little bit of both. I think I have faith and stuff, but when it comes to these things, I think that you know, science will rule. But the thing is, I've been pretty cool about it. I've been like, whatever is, you know, but you just go into my comment section on that video and all the, let's just say,
everyone's gone wild.
All the interesting people have appeared in mass on that video. You know, like, they're mentioning all sorts of crazy things, and each comment that I read, they convince me a little bit more. If that makes any sense.
Well, maybe that's why I'm not as convinced, because I try and stay away from that type of thing. Yeah, I mean, let's wait till the 6th of July. Yeah, I mean, it's what is it? It's June now. While we're recording this, it's not far from my birthday.
5th of July, yeah.
So yeah, so if it's only a month away, we'll soon know it. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. If you want to cancel your trip, no problem. That's completely up to you.
I mean, I don't get there until the 10th of July anyway, so
So you should be okay. Yeah, yeah. You'll be in the air, Nathan. It's fine, guys. I'm not bothered.
just saying, just saying. But some people are so nasty. Some people in the comments are like, ha 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 ha, you tell me. Some people in the comments are like, ha 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 ha, you tell me how it's gonna be when you're dead or whatever, like on the 5th of July. Like, yeah, horrible stuff like that. Yeah, like,
Oh, you cannot believe. I mean, because I'm like a social media content creator, because of Facebook, and there's literally millions of interactions now every month, which is just crazy. But some of the stuff people say, because you have like a bit of anonymity behind the screen or whatever. Some of the stuff people say is just crazy. But I've learned over time, which is basically don't feed the trolls type of thing. To just if you don't like something, you don't have to engage somebody because they've said something that you disagree with. That's fine. Just leave them to be. It's not a problem. So let them do what they want to do, and I'll do what I want to do. Thanks very much. It's okay.
anyway, we've got some questions from the last one that we did.
Okay.
Just 2 or 3 questions that I want to throw out there. Some comments, some questions. The first one was actually from, it's like a little bit more, not a question really, but a little bit of a quick discussion or a quick comment here, which is, I never Airbnb in Japan, talking about the Airbnb that we had last time. Check that one out.
My disaster, my Airbnb disaster.
It's just not that popular with locals, and thus not as reliable as in North America and Europe. And business hotels are clean, reliable, and super inexpensive in Japan. Just book an APA, a Live Max, etc. So would you say that that they're not, as a result of them not being as popular, that makes them a little bit less reliable? What would you think? What do you think about that?
I think Airbnb is inherently less reliable than a hotel.
Oh well, yeah, definitely. In general, okay.
Just full stop. Yeah, there's no front desk to complain to and all that type of stuff. So, no matter what. But I would probably agree. Japan for a very long time has had a series of hotels like ryokans and stuff, all across the country, and they've nailed it, haven't they? Let's be honest. Those hotels and things have been fantastic for 300 to 400 years, or maybe even some of them. One of the oldest businesses in the world is a Japanese ryokan. So, Japan knows what it's doing when it comes to hotels. That's what I'm trying to say. So, understandably, those hotels are quite a high standard anyway. The one I stayed in last month in Morioka was absolutely fantastic, and I would definitely stay there again. I've had nothing but a good experience in Japanese hotels. So yeah. I completely agree. That's probably why it's better. But Airbnb, you can get 10 people in one Airbnb, and it can be comparatively less expensive. So, it's kind of swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And then the other, this is a question. Jesse actually asks, "Hey guys, any recommendations for cool temples, shrines in Tokyo that aren't Sensoji or Meiji Jingu?" I have a few, but I wonder if you have any that you'd like to sort of like share?
There's so many cool temples and shrines. I really like Kanda Shrine, which is it sits above Akihabara. Kanda is quite a good place to stay actually. And there's a huge shrine on top of a hill in the middle of Kanda, which not many people know about. But it's a very, very nice place to go. That's probably a temple, would you say, Nathan? A little temple / shrine. Kanda's quite nice, yeah, anyway.
Temple?
Yeah, temple, yeah. There's a hidden shrine actually in Akihabara, hidden scores between some buildings. That's you have to basically squeeze between two buildings and you get behind the back of two buildings and there's a little shrine hidden in the middle of one, which is quite nice. It kind of feels very like Blade Runner, futuristic. You're crammed in with the air conditioning units, aren't you? And there's just a slither of light coming through, bathing. That's quite cool. That one's quite nice. I mean, there's absolutely explodes. There's a really nice one in Shinjuku that I directed you to once. That is kind of off the beaten path.
Yeah, is that the pink one? There's a pink one.
There is a pink one, but it wasn't that one. It was kind of in Shinjuku Sanchome, so as if you were walking out of Shinjuku, like away from Kabukicho. It's just off the beaten path. And I recently posted a photo on my social media of a little side of the street shrine in what's that place called, Nathan? That really long shopping street. Is it Togoshi Ginza?
Togoshi Ginza. Yeah, you did. That was a really nice photo.
Yeah, there's a little side street shrine there.
I mean, my recommendations, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just a nice little one.
Yeah, when it comes to shrines and temples off the beaten path and that are sort of like quite central, I think surprisingly, I mean, there's loads obviously that you could check out, but Akasaka has some great ones like Hikawa Shrine and Hiei Shrine and Hikawa Shrine, and one of them, I think Hiei Shrine, is the one that has escalators that goes up to the top, but that one has a tunnel of torii gates, a little bit like Fushimi Inari sort of style, going down or going up some steps. It's definitely less popular than the other temples and shrines in Tokyo. There will still be a little bit of crowds there. I mean, I wouldn't say crowds, just a few more tourists than normal. But those two I would highly recommend that you check out. But just explore and find your own shrines and temples and tell us, is what I would say.
There's so many, yeah. They're everywhere. Yeah. But there's temples and shrines everywhere. So just go out and find them and enjoy them. That's all you've got to do. The one on, what's that pond called in Ueno? Shinobazu Pond or something like that. Yeah. There's a torii gate like pathway there as well with a nice little shrine on it, which is also pretty nice. That one, the one on the pond, is nice because you can offset it against the lake the pond in the background and then the tall buildings as well. So it's great for photo opportunities during Sakura season.
Yeah, definitely. And the ultimate shrine, I mean, I would say that even though it is incredibly popular, I would say Meiji Jingu, because Meiji Jingu is so big.
100%.
And it's that, even though it's crowded at times, it doesn't feel as crowded as it will be crowded, but it just won't feel as crowded as it actually is, because it's so grand. And I think that a lot of people like sort of give up getting to the end, if that makes any sense, because it's a little bit of a walk together. Anyway, on that note, we're gonna have to end the podcast here, wrap up, as we say, and as we say for the very first time ever.
Yep.
So I do hope that you've enjoyed it. Do you have anything to add before we wrap up?
No, it's been another great chat, Nathan. Just thanks everybody for putting in comments. Writing some comments and stuff. That's been fantastic. Thanks for pressing like on the streams and on the recordings and stuff. It's all been great. Thanks for pressing subscribe. Those ones that have done, press all those buttons.
Yeah, and let us know what you think and any questions, any crazy questions, interesting questions.
Get them all down there. Yep, but thanks very much.
Yeah, and we'll answer them in the future podcasts. On that note, I've been Nathan.
And I've been Alan. And we've been the JCast.
And we've been the podcast, the JCast. That's it. The podcast one.
We'll get better. We are
getting there. Anyway, thanks, guys.
See you later. Bye.